driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this.
What do you think? Well, what do you know?
You got a line on a ship?
Yeah, I know a guy. He's the best smuggler around.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
You might want to buckle up, baby.
Welcome to a movie film commentary track. My name is Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited about this.
Me too. This movie holds a special place in my heart with you specifically. So I'm really excited to be talking through this movie with you.
Well, we're here to talk through Solo, a Star Wars story. And a couple points. Number one, I'm excited because it means we're back to our tradition of when a Star Wars movie is about to come out, we do a Star Wars commentary track.
Yeah, well, and we were mentioning this off air, but I saw in my Facebook memories, it reminded me that 8 years ago, exactly to this day, you and I watched this movie together for the first time.
Yeah, a couple of weeks before it came out.
Yeah. You being a prestigious film critic, you get invited to all the early screenings, especially for highly anticipated things. And you were generous enough to say, hey, I can get a +1. You want to join me? And so I drove up to the Bay Area.
No, you flew up for this one. You flew up.
Oh, I flew up? Oh, good memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indy 5, I drove, I guess.
That one you drove up, yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. It was very exciting because there was a lot of anticipation and curiosity about this movie. This was when Star Wars was doing kind of like new things theatrically.
I thought you were going to say doing well.
Well.
Up until this movie, as a matter of fact.
But I mean, this was like a big curiosity and highly anticipated, and it was really exciting getting to see this early with you. So, and I mean, we can get into it when we start the movie, but you know, we had our feelings, and then we saw the world's feelings, and that was fascinating.
The two did not intersect.
No.
As with Indy 5, we were able to see it and have our thoughts before the discourse took over, which I found helpful in both instances. Mm-hmm. But hey, you know, it has been 8 years now since this movie came out, and plenty of folks have seen it since. And, you know, I feel like there's lots of interesting conversations to be had about everything surrounding Solo, a Star Wars story. There are plenty of making of stories about this Star Wars story.
Yep. I definitely went on a deep dive.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what you dug up. For me, this was it had been, I don't know about you, but it had been a while. I think the last time I saw this was just before Rise of Skywalker, so it felt very fresh. This is probably the Star Wars movie I've seen the least.
Yeah, maybe me too. Yeah.
But if you want to watch along with us, feel free to do that. Of course, I got to say the best way to experience our movie commentary tracks is watching along with us. And with that in mind, Brian, I'm going to say our Patreon page is the way to go there.
Oh, definitely. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast, you'll find a special feed there for only $5 a month where you can hear all of our episodes and, most importantly today, all of our commentaries ad-free. So if you want to play this and watch along with us, you won't have any ads or interruptions butting in and chopping up the conversation. You won't have to frequently pause the movie whenever an ad starts and then start it up again when we return if you listen to the special feed over on Patreon.
There we go. And so I'm ready to go. How about you, Brian?
I'm ready.
All right. So we'll do the usual thing. 1, 2, 3, play. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, play.
Yeah, I gotta say, Zachy, I hadn't seen this in a while either, but watching it, even right when it started, I just got kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling.
I hear you.
Even this opening here, right? I mean, we get the a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but...
And then we get the crawl without a crawl.
Exactly. It is a crawl, but it's not crawling.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember in this moment when all this new stuff was so like unknowable, like, okay, so we're going to get a story that's not part of the Skywalker saga, like Rogue One I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is it going to, open the same way? Like, will it have the big Star Wars in yellow letters and then the crawl? And then it didn't. And that was kind of
Right.
interesting. And so with this, it's like, what are they going to do with this? It was so, what a time. What an exciting
I miss
time.
it. Not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I did really kind of go back to those giddy feelings of when this was all fresh and new and so much was possible.
Well, and I think that's going back to what I was saying before. I mean, the fact that I have seen this one less, there was that sense of like, it's all the familiar stuff, but it still felt new-ish.
Yeah. 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 Like I remembered that he had to talk to this sort of, I don't know, like he being an orphan and he has this woman who kind of runs all these orphans doing crimes for her. I remembered that happened in this movie, but I kind of forgot what she looked like and the setting and things like that. So yeah, it still felt kind of new-ish, fresh.
So one thing I will say is the movie fails to establish the significance of those dice. Right?
Well, just it is amazing how many inserts they do of it.
Yeah, like it's clearly meant to mean something, and my understanding is that there was like a failure of communication between this movie and Last Jedi and this movie, and the two were meant to tie together in some way, or Force Awakens certainly, because there was a deleted scene where Han puts the dice back in the Falcon.
You know what's so funny? I remember that so vividly, I forgot it was a deleted scene.
Exactly. I mean, really, in the original trilogy, the only time we really see them clearly is in the first film, in A New Hope, I mean, when we see Chewie going into the bridge of the Falcon.
Yeah, like, I mean, he doesn't like acknowledge them or anything, right? They're just kind of dangling like you would over a rear view mirror or something.
Yeah, exactly. No insert shot there,
Yeah. Now, by the way, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's all. I just, it's like, maybe just give us something like what they mean to him, like why are they significant?
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. I know some people give the dice a hard time, where it's like, oh, all of a sudden this thing is the most meaningful thing that Han owns. But then in the movies we know, he just never even looks at them.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, that's never bothered me. I kind of like the idea of they caught something in the frame of the original movies and, just added them as texture to the earlier stories or the later stories. I like that idea. It works for me.
So the original Marvel comic books, which are non-canon, obviously, but they were published at the same time as the films, and I remember reading the issue of the Marvel comic, which is right after Return of the Jedi, and you have Han going into the Bridge of the Falcon, and he says, "Hey, they're still here. The dice that I won the Falcon with."
Oh, interesting.
So in my head, that's what they always were.
Yeah. Which would make a lot of sense too, hanging from the ship and
right. And so they went a different way with this, and that's fine. But
yeah,
again, I'm just like, well, maybe just tell us why they're significant. That's all,
Yeah, it could even have something to do with Kira, like because he hands them to her at one point.
That's right.
I don't know. By the way, this I forgot this creature's name, but I'm getting major Dark Crystal vibes.
Oh yeah, right.
Just this kind of totally ugly Muppet puppet looking thing. I mean, it's off-putting, but I kind of like it. It reminds me of what was really exciting in this moment. I remember, I am going to pat myself on the back a little bit here. When we started the podcast and everything was going so CGI heavy, I remember saying, some filmmaker is going to make a movie and they're going to use puppets again and practical stuff, and everyone's going to say they're a genius. And then J.J. Abrams did. And which was great fair. Because it did make a Star Wars sequel still feel like it was a part of the movies that had come before it. Well, most especially the original trilogy, maybe not so much the prequels. But I like that with this, in the sequels and in this here, they stuck to that. And we get a lot of animatronic masks, and this big puppet creature that looks weird. It looks like a puppet, but it works. It's in the room. It feels unsettling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is a physicality to it that is appreciated.
And even in its dangly awkwardness, something about it, just being in the room makes it work
Right.
with our brains in a way that we almost forgive the awkwardness of it because it's there.
You know, physics.
Physics. So we get the thermal detonator here. We get a lot of like little things, items that we get.
There's quite a few callbacks, fun
yeah.
little callbacks. Not nothing too obnoxious, I don't think.
So, this is what's interesting. I was going to remark on how dimly lit that den is.
Yeah.
And then I forgot when he throws the thing that he lets the light in and it burns the creature. Apparently these creatures can't be in light. And I was like, oh, right. That's like a story thing. Yeah. However, the rest of the movie is pretty dimly lit anyway.
that is true. Yeah. The lighting scheme is very different from what we expected from Star Wars up to this time. I think the more recent stuff kind of looks similar to this, I mean, Andor.
In a strange way, they were almost ahead of the time of their time with everyone kind of complaining about Netflix aesthetics, like Netflix TV.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta say, it's like here, it looks okay, but there are moments where I'm like, this is really, really dark, maybe and muddy looking.
Yeah, well, specifically when they meet Lando for the first time.
Yes.
I'm not crazy about that. I was thinking here, by the way, this all feels very American Graffiti.
Yeah, sure.
Which seems appropriate not only for the Ron Howard factor, but also the Harrison Ford factor.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and just Lucas, of course. Just all the Star Wars films are just filled with so many of the things that are going on in his brain.
You have speeders that look like 1950s cars,
Yeah. I like that too, at that moment. I was thinking, when you make a movie, it's like, you don't just pick up a camera and point very often. Like you have to set things up and get lights and have a whole crew with chairs behind the camera. Like it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I love that they took the time to have that droid at that stop point just to be like, hey, wait, stop. And then it gets run over and its head kind of flies off. That just feels very Star Warsy to me. Like it makes the world feel very alive and chaotic. And I thought that was it popped out to me as a cool inclusion. Look at all this stuff. This looks so good. Like this looks like a real location, real explosions, real stuff getting knocked over.
The frame is very lively.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I said for a long time, and as most people did, I'm sure, Ron Howard would be a great Star Wars director.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did. He did a great job. It's just unfortunate that his experience is one of it's this massive flop, Yeah,
I mean, he walked into a really complicated situation.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he nurtured this whole thing from the beginning. Right. He kind of stepped in and saved the day in a way. But I mean, he was offered the gig for Phantom Menace at one point, right? Or was considered at least.
I believe so. Yeah.
And he turned it down. And I thought I read that when this was presented to him, coming in and taking over Solo, he wasn't so sure about doing it, but it was his wife that eventually convinced him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just one of those things that's like, I don't know, do I really want to touch? I mean, again, at this point, they were still very, I don't know that we had very many shows at this point, if at all.
Zero shows. Mandalorian was still a year away.
So yeah, Star Wars was still very, very precious, right? And it's like, you wouldn't want to be one of the few people that ruined it.
Mm-hmm. Now, this project was something that from the earliest days after the sale was like, and we want to do a Han Solo origin story.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was something Lawrence Kasdan really pushed for. And I always thought it was a good idea. I know it there were people who critiqued it, and there was that nobody but Harrison Ford could play Han Solo. And I never felt that in terms of no, I mean, it's the younger version of the character and it seems fine,
Mm-hmm.
And at least for me, I love Alden Ehrenreich in this part. I think he did a great job.
Yep.
I said this at the time. I think he manages to become the character without imitating Harrison Ford. There's certain soloisms that he works in, and certainly as the film progresses, by the time we're up to the showdown with Dryden Voss, I'm like, that's Han Solo.
I agree. I mean, I guess to make it clear right off the bat, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
And not having watched it a lot and revisiting it the other night, this is just a darn good story.
Yeah.
And like a darn good Han Solo story.
Yeah.
Like seeing him, he's got traits that we recognize, but he is a little different because the world hasn't beaten him down quite yet.
Right.
But we watch him have all these key moments happen kind of all at once, and they sort of pound him into becoming the cynic that we know him from, in the other films. And it's kind of I think it's done really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it fits very neatly with everything we've seen of the character up to this point. And I think both this and Rogue One do prequels better in some ways than the Star Wars prequels did, because I felt like the Star Wars prequels often sort of hit you over the head with the prequelness of it, like the references, you know what I mean?
Like callbacks and things like, oh, this person you didn't know this, but they actually all knew one another even 30 years ago, or their ancestors actually interacted. And
Baby Boba Fett is the most egregious, and
sure,
and Anakin, one day you'll be the death of me, stuff like that. Like,
sure.
I think when references are a little more subtle, or it plays better. That's just me personally.
No, I'm with you on that. It at one point, I think in Revenge of the Sith, they were going to have Han Solo in there as a boy, right, on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, on Kashyyyk. Yeah, which but bullet dodged there.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that was concept art for. So somebody intervened. Yeah. Rick McCallum, perhaps, I don't know.
By the way, just this scene here again. I mean, I just feel like this is just a tight.
Real quick, Brian.
Yeah.
This right here, we hear the Imperial March in major key.
Yep.
Which
for the recruiting
we were
video,
using that as our Star Wars music on our show years before this movie came out.
That's right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just kind of also admiring. What is this? 13 minutes in, and just so much has happened already.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just admiring. Well, of course, it's written by the Kasdans, so we know we're in good hands, right?
Yeah.
But a little trivia tidbit I thought was kind of interesting. Apparently, Ron Howard always puts his wife Cheryl in his films, like as a good luck charm, gives her a cameo. And she had shot a scene for this movie, but it got deleted. And so one day, Howard was telling the ILM people, like, I'm bummed, I have this great track record of doing that. It's something special between us. And too bad it didn't work out for this one. And they're like, oh, well, let's just shoot her against a green screen and throw her in somewhere. And so they did under the hologram, Empire recruitment hologram.
How funny.
Yeah. So she's in there just kind of walking around. And so got to keep up the tradition.
I like that. And obviously Clint Howard, his brother's also tradition.
Yep.
Now the naming of Han Solo.
Oh yeah.
Ellis Island style. Now I know this came in for a whole bunch of criticism when the movie came out, and you and I have had this discussion before. Well, for me, when I was a little kid, I read the Return of the Jedi storybook, and in the scene after they leave Tatooine, after the whole Jabba sequence, you have Luke in his X-wing thinking about Han, and it says something to the effect of Luke always wondered if Han took on the name Solo because he was alone, but he's not alone anymore, or something. I'm paraphrasing, right? So, like, in my head, it was always like an alias because of that book I read as a kid.
Interesting. Oh, okay. So you've had that already,
right? So it never bothered me. I mean, it wasn't even something I really gave much thought to, but like, there was like, oh, and it's not even his real name, and all the critique. I was like, I don't. It felt excessive to me. That's just me.
I can literally go both ways with it. Like there's part of me that it just like, oh, okay, it's sort of like young Indy and the whip and the scar on the chin. Like, like I can chuckle and go, okay, and just roll with it and go to the next scene. And then there's another part of me, and I've heard people sort of say this, where it's like, so some guy that wasn't being very nice to you, just as like a lark, gives you this like nickname. Like if you're in prison and some guard is just like, all right, pork chop, and then shoves you in line or something, and you're like, well, I guess that's me now, Brian Porkchop. Like you take the nickname that he gives you and put it on all your identification. I can see why people feel that way, but
I'll have two responses to that. Number one, Solo is like pretty cool sounding.
True.
And two, that was me doing like Buzz from Home Alone.
I didn't even catch it. Sorry, I was like half. This is always the funny thing is like I'm half watching a movie, half having a conversation with you when we do these.
No, but two, the Imperial was not being that mean to him. He was being actually, as Imperials go, like just like okay.
Yeah. He could have been like Han Loner.
Yeah.
Move along.
Or like, what are you doing, dipshit? Like he was actually like, oh, you want to join? Okay. Like,
yeah.
So it's at worst a net neutral for him,
Yeah. And he doesn't have a last name and he needs one. And maybe at some point it's stuck and then it becomes a part of you.
Solo is as good as any.
Yeah. That's true. If the prison guy gave me like a cool name, like
exactly,
like all right, move it, Skull Crusher, I'd be like, whoa,
that's a cool name, right?
Brian Skull Crusher,
right? But if it's like, hey, Hershey Squirts,
right, and you're at the DMV, you don't want to be like Hershey Squirts, Brian.
Yeah.
By the way, so that battle, so basically out of desperation, because he wants to be a pilot so he can get back to Kira, he joins the Empire so he can, learn how to fly or whatever. Or he already knows how to fly, but needs to get a ship. Anyway, he gets, he disobeys. I guess that's a deleted scene, right? And he gets demoted and becomes infantry.
Yeah.
And so we cut to him in the middle of this chaotic battle. And I really love how that's captured. It's just this, insanity, like battle dialed up to 11, where you can't see what's going on. There's laser blasts going past their head. Everything's exploding. You can't see, 5 feet in front of you. Just the chaos and the scariness of that, I thought was captured really well.
Yeah.
And his persistence trying to join this team with Beckett.
I kind of love that throughout the whole movie, you never quite know what to think of Beckett.
Yeah, he's a great sort of mentor to Han, and he'll take some lessons from him, some good things, some bad things.
I think it helps that it's Woody Harrelson, and I think people have a general affinity for Woody Harrelson.
Well, I was going to ask you, does it take you out at all having Woody Harrelson in a Star Wars movie?
That is a great question. It does not, because he's done so many different franchises that you're just sort of, to me, it's no different than having like a Mads Mikkelsen or something in a Star Wars movie,
Oh, see, I agree with that in theory, but for me specifically, Woody Harrelson is so Woody Harrelson. Like when he's in Now You See Me, when he's in 2012, when he's in whatever else he's in.
Yeah.
It's just like Woody Harrelson is playing Woody Harrelson. And so I think he's doing a great job in this movie. I think he's very good in this role, but there is a slight part of me that is a little taken out. I got to be honest.
See, I remember back when the prequels came out, people saying that about Sam Jackson. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that worked out fine. So
it did.
I think right. I think after that, I'm just like, well, we're going to see familiar faces in these movies,
Yeah. Well, at some point, yeah, you just have to. And like I said, I think he does a great job.
I mean, when you think about it, he's playing a character very similar to DJ, the Benicio del Toro character.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
He occupies that particular part of the spectrum.
Yeah. Huh,
I love
yeah.
how this sequence it calls back to two things to me. Number one, it's kind of like the Rancor,
Yeah. Oh, good.
he gets
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
right tossed into the pit so that
Yep.
the monster
With a
can eat him.
beast.
But it also reminds me of Return of the Jedi when well that Rancor is also Return of the Jedi. But when Han is when he's captured by Jabba. Well, he's already been captured by Jabba. Okay, I'm doing a terrible job.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Where Chewie has been purchased by Jabba.
Yep.
And after Han is out of the carbonite, but he doesn't have his eyes back, and we see Chewie kind of come out of the shadows. Anyway, it just reminds me of that.
It looks very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is fun, right? We could see.
Look at this. A bromance is born.
Exactly.
A bromance for the ages, right?
Yeah. All right. Now I got to ask. I mean, this is the first time I think we've seen a human type character speak Wookiee.
Yeah.
Like, work for you, or does it feel slightly silly?
Yes to both.
Agreed. Actually, I agree. I'm very much. I'm always, A, B, C, or D. If D is roll with it.
Yeah.
When it comes to any of those sorts of questions with this movie, I'm going to be going with roll with it. But slightly silly too.
Yeah, but I see. To me, there's something about the fact that Han is the only one who was like, well, why don't we just talk to him?
Yep. And he can have that sort of connection with him. He knows a little bit about his ways.
Exactly, right. It's like Chief in that The Simpsons that's doing the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest thing.
Oh yeah,
Homer's like, "Hi, Chief." He's like, "He talks." Well, nobody ever said anything to me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, sure. They just treat him
Chewie.
like a beast chained in a little dungeon thing.
Exactly.
Otherwise, yeah. And he asks him his name.
What a concept.
Yeah, but man, this movie is murky looking.
I wish it looked a little more. I don't know. Like a little more like traditional Star Wars. In
Me
that
too.
Sense. Yeah.
I can appreciate it for some moody atmosphere from time to time, depending on where they are. But the thing, I'll just speak for myself. I sort of complain a little bit these days when people only build parts, and this has been going for a long time, but I think they've taken it to extreme these days where they build parts of sets and then they fill out the rest either through like the volume or CGI or whatever. And so there really doesn't feel like there's any depth, or anything to a lot of locations anymore in big budgeted movies, unfortunately. And this movie appears to have that depth. It has the locations. It has the sets that they built. And I kind of hate that they're obscured by all this murkiness. But, that's not to say that I don't like that as a style. I mean, I think of The Godfather or even Amadeus, movies that were lit by literal candlelight in some instances. I think it can fit sometimes, but even Amadeus is more brightly lit than this movie.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of like the settings on your TV got, put back to factory setting and you need to readjust them or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, as I was rewatching, I was monkeying around with my settings just so that I was trying to figure out, like, is my monitor burning out,
Interesting.
So I know, Brian, you've been waiting to see Han and Chewie shower together for a long time. So
I was like, where's this going?
I remember excitedly you were punching my arm as we were watching this.
Yeah, I pulled out my bingo card and crossed the little X off a box.
You excitedly pulled out a scroll of your Chewie Han shower fanfic and rubbed them in my face. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, I got
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the dice, do you remember that I brought up some dice for us when we saw this, just to mark the occasion because I thought it was really fun and special, and so I have them actually right next to me here. Dangling
I
from
still
a
have
lamp.
mine in my car.
Yeah. See, this is nice. A nice, that's another thing too. You notice like movies, I think as the years go on, I mean, I know people have been complaining about MTV editing for the longest time, and movies have been speeding up. But I've spoken with editors, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like executives, whoever the powers that be that ultimately make the decisions. It's like they just don't trust an audience is willing to sit and listen for very long."
Right.
And so, scenes where two characters are just kind of talking, and maybe it's not progressing the story, but it is illuminating something. It is helping us to understand the characters better. They get nervous about those types of scenes. And I thought about that during that moment where Han and Chewie are just standing on that little balcony sort of area. Just, so what's your name? Just kind of talking to each other. And it makes their relationship, more believable and meaningful later in the movie. So I admire the movie for having the patience for those quieter moments too.
Yeah, I think this is where, to some extent, you can switch up certain aspects of Star Wars films, but you are beholden to the storytelling approach of the films up to this time, right? And I think that's where it works in this movie's favor.
Sure.
Like you can't mix it up too much, and maybe as we record this, we have not seen Mandalorian and Grogu yet. Maybe they're just gonna Michael Bay Armageddon that thing. I have no idea. I suspect not. I mean, it's Jon Favreau, But,
yeah, I was just about to say, yeah.
But I think that works in its favor. Star Wars is meant to be old fashioned in some way,
Mm-hmm.
so it works in its favor.
Well, and that's what I kept thinking as I was watching this, and even by the time it was over, this is a very old fashioned story.
Yeah,
a real hero's journey and just lessons learned. And I don't know. It doesn't feel like it needs to subvert anything. I mean, there are twists and turns, but it doesn't need to like subvert for the sake of subverting to try to get, triple fake out the audience or anything. Like, it's just a good, solid story about a guy we like and are interested in. And I just really admire it. It just feels old fashioned and I say it as a high compliment. Confident in its story, and that we will go on that ride and enjoy going on it with him.
Well, and this sequence gets us as close to Indy with the whip and the
sure,
with him getting his blaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking later, when you see him wielding the blaster, during the Kessel sequence, and later, like that blaster does a lot of the lifting to give us like the silhouette of Han Solo,
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable. It's a hell of an iconic gun.
Definitely, and we get the iconic pose,
mm-hmm.
When he's holding people off when there's that robot slave revolt.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when I think, well, no, I guess it does happen in the movies. I was going to say, I mostly know what I think from promotional materials, but that's not true.
Well, like in A New Hope when
exactly
when he's about to board the Falcon,
and on Endor. We see him doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is interesting though. It seems people understand Chewie. Maybe they can't speak. Well, he doesn't, as I said that. But other characters seem to pick up on what he's saying. Or am I wrong?
Well,
Have I just sort of missed it the whole time?
Han is translating for him.
Yeah. But in the other films, I mean, do people actually know what he's saying, or are they just rolling with his mood?
I think for the most part, they don't they don't converse with Chewie like Han does.
I'm like having a moment where I'm like realizing this now, sort of like Usual Suspects. Like I'm seeing all the scenes again in my head. Like, wait, were they not understanding him?
Yeah, because if you remember in The Force Awakens, when Han and Chewie first come aboard the Falcon, Rey is the first one to speak to him,
mm-hmm.
and Finn is like, "You can understand that thing?"
Yeah, you're right.
So other than Han, Rey is the first one to actually speak, which just goes to why she's a Mary Sue, right, Brian?
Well, I was gonna say, I guess that's a really good way to immediately make us feel like a character is connected, or someone we can trust, right? Because he becomes her co-pilot.
That's a normal reaction, Brian, but we're talking about Star Wars fans. So I don't know what the hell you're doing here.
Right. I love this sequence, by the way.
This is great. I was about to say, what a great heist sequence we have here.
Totally cool. Very Western, but like in a Star Wars setting, right? So it's this, I love the idea of this track and that it's built to go around these mountains. So every now and then it'll tilt, which creates a great occasional issue for the characters trying to stand on top of the train. They got to hold on at certain points because the train is tilting. So it's great. Jon Favreau. I forgot that he voiced that pilot character.
Yeah, and this is pre-Mandalorian. So he just did this for love of the game. They're like, you want to voice a weird monkey man? And he's like, you're goddamn right. But a lot of times I'm always pointing out visual effects and being like, why does it look so flat? Why is it blah, blah, blah? But this looks great. Yeah.
I feel like everything blends together well. I don't know what's real, what isn't. I think there's enough of it that's real that these actors are walking on that makes it believable to me, right?
Yeah.
That they're in this environment and the way that they blend with whatever isn't there. I think this is really exceptionally done.
It's a terrific sequence. I mean, we get several solid action sequences in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps.
Yep. But I don't know if I want to save it. Yeah, I'll save it.
Okay. Suspense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do we want to talk about the absolute shit show that went on behind the scenes of this?
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I got notes whenever we're ready. Yeah. Where to begin?
Well, what's remarkable is how it unfortunately behind the scenes chaos sort of came to characterize the entirety of Kathleen Kennedy's time insofar as the big screen portion of the Star Wars franchise.
That is a great point because everyone was happy with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying this, you think this was when conversation started?
It started really with Rogue One, right? Which like they kind of snuck that one out and it did okay. So they looked past the I mean, it what you realize in hindsight is how much of it was Frankenstein together,
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some extent the brain trust at Lucasfilm got it in their heads. Oh, we can just do this all the time. And then it just caught up to them here,
Mm-hmm.
But you had this and what became Rise of Skywalker in rapid succession go through something similar,
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is,
Yeah. By the way, I just want to call it that move where Han is going to hit that, I don't even know what it is, that little tower as he's dangling on the side of the train. So I love the way he has to improvise where he undoes his cable so he drops and misses hitting the tower, but then he's got to grab onto the bottom of the train. It's just so very Spielbergy and inventive and using your environment for exciting action.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. Yeah, well, so I mean, this was part of the initiative, right? When they were kicking Star Wars back off under the Disney regime, it's like we're going to have Skywalker sequels, but we're also going to have these other stories, that involve other characters, the origin stories of some of our characters, and to make sure that they felt, legitimate and make fans excited, they brought back, the legendary people who were involved in the original movies that we all loved, right? So Lawrence Kasdan, like not you could imagine when they say, we're going to do a origin story for Han Solo, people are like, you're like, written by Lawrence Kasdan, right?
Yeah.
The guy who wrote Empire Strikes Back, co-wrote Return of the Jedi, wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're like, oh,
Go on.
right? Exactly. And so then Lawrence Kasdan was like, cool, but I want to do this with my son, right? Jonathan. And so they wrote this script together. Lucasfilm's like, great, let's make this. And then they brought on Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to direct.
Right.
And they are interesting choices because, right, they begin in animation. They do a show for MTV called Clone High. And then they make a movie for Sony called Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which I think, I mean, that was a huge catapult for them, right? Where it was this sort of, it was a book originally that I don't think had a lot of plot. And they turned it into this really funny, sweet, inventive, clever kids film
That's right.
I remember hearing like, actually, this movie's pretty good. You should check it out. And so kids liked it, adults liked it. And then they went, I believe, did they do the 21 Jump Street movies next?
They did.
Yeah, which is hilarious because it's like, okay, the guys who made this really cute family movie.
By the way, real quick, Brian.
No, please, yeah.
Rio right here, as he coughs and wheezes the last, he says, "It's no good to die alone, kid," to Han. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe dying alone beats getting stabbed in the chest by your son. Just putting that out there.
Right. Oh, I didn't even, you know what? I didn't even think about we're seeing this young Han and then connecting him to his death.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, yeah. So they make 21 Jump Street, which is just a completely different sort of thing, right? They make this hard R, like kind of improvisation comedy, right? And it's a remake of a kind of forgotten 1980s TV series that has a very goofy premise, right? Where these like cops go undercover as high school students. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what the heck is this? And then it comes out and it's hilarious. Everyone's like, oh, this is amazing. And then it's like, oh, well, now these guys are going to make a Lego movie, right? Which just sounds very like selling out commercial. Like, are you going to make like a toy movie based on this? How do you even do that? What does it even look like? And then lo and behold, they come out with the Lego movie and it's brilliant.
Everything was awesome.
It's just a really ingenious story that uses Legos and it becomes kind of its own thing. And anyway, it's all that to say, they have this really unusual career. And they also have this knack for taking things that feel like they shouldn't work and then making hits out of them that everybody loves. So you can see why Lucasfilm might think, hey, it'd be kind of cool. Like Han Solo, it's an adventure film, but he's also kind of roguish and funny. And, you want to have like a humor to it also, right? It's not just action. And like, these guys did the 21 Jump Street thing and the Lego thing, and they're just very inventive and they know how to take things and make them feel fresh and exciting and new and have a perspective on it. I could see completely why they would bring those guys in to, at least pitch on making a Han Solo movie. I mean, do you see that too now, or does that feel sort of like, well, maybe that wasn't the best?
Well,
idea?
No, it makes look at who they were roping in at the time, right? Like Rian Johnson. I mean, again, opinion of Last Jedi notwithstanding, he was coming off of Brick and Looper, young, up and coming, right? Mm-hmm. Remember Josh Trank was attached to a Boba Fett movie for a minute?
I forgot about that, but yes.
Yeah, right. And so Lord and Miller are part of that wave, right? Mm-hmm. Even Benioff and Weiss, right? It's like these people who are coming up who, I'm sure the thinking was, bring their perspectives, these new, unique perspectives, these filmmakers who no doubt grew up liking Star Wars and let them have their say in it. And so that was the thinking. And obviously the way it went is the way it went, which I'm sure you'll talk about more. But I certainly don't quibble with the choice to bring them on. Mm-hmm. I would say probably there was a lot of stuff that was not clarified between the various parties ahead of time.
Well, and that's true because when you say, young, up and coming with Rian Johnson, I think you on paper could possibly say that about them because they had taken some things that felt like underdog projects and made them big. It wasn't like they've made a Lord of the Rings movie or a Star Wars movie
Right.
or anything at this point.
Right.
However, they have had a lot of success, and clearly in their minds, they have a process that works for them.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine if they're being brought into something, they're thinking, yeah, we'll do what we do because you like what we do. Right?
Right. And here's the thing, right? If I can plot a parallel, look at Joe and Anthony Russo, right? If you would have said, oh, these guys who direct, Happy Endings and Arrested Development and Community, oh, they're going to make this grounded, gritty political thriller, right? Like it doesn't line up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you realize is that on the producing side, obviously the ship had already been well established, right? So by then, we're 2 phases in, Kevin Feige had already sort of standardized how things work there, and people could work within. People had flexibility within that, right? And I think at this point, this is not meant to like point the finger of blame at Kathleen Kennedy. I'm just saying, like, Star Wars being back and Star Wars in this way was sort of a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So maybe there wasn't that architecture in place to work within.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Well, and then that's one of the criticisms that comes up a lot about the sequel trilogy is it doesn't feel like they had a lot planned out in advance. They sort of thought they would bring in exciting people and let them do their thing. And
yeah, well, and that critique will live, as long as film exists, which is you knew you were going to have 3. You're telling me you didn't at least have 3 napkins?
Yeah.
With a plot scribbled on them,
Right.
That's just that'll baffle, generations to come,
Yeah. But just real quick, just looking at what's on screen, I do want to say I love this idea of the coaxium.
Yeah.
The fuel, it's like a great MacGuffin that makes a lot of sense in this universe that people can lose, they need to get it back, and it's also rare and highly volatile.
Yeah.
And what a brilliant way of helping us understand that, where we see this heist and we know it's important, but they lose it and it hits a mountain, this train car filled with it, hits a mountain, and the mountain is leveled.
Yep.
Like you do not want to mess with this stuff.
By the way, real quick, doesn't Han wearing that coat, doesn't he kind of look like that tubby guy who played Jabba in the original, like, deleted scene of
like, yeah, sure.
Like before they added CG Jabba?
Yeah, the Scottish actor who's like, Solo.
Yeah.
Come on out, Solo. Yeah, that's funny. But then I love, that's the thing too, is when you do a Star Wars movie, there's things you want to see that are, familiar stuff. You want to recognize, well, I mean, they keep going back to desert planets. And I know that's been a criticism, but also it delights me. What can I say? But I like when they go to new places too and seeing the Star Wars version of that. So now we're seeing a Star Wars yacht, right?
Yeah.
And the version of that is it's not on water, but it's this big, elegant, floating, ship, basically. And I don't know, like, sort of like we have the casino thing in Last Jedi, which I know some people are like and some don't. I did, because I was like, well, I've never seen this before. It's cool seeing what that looks like. Like, what are the wealthy, how do they live in Star Wars times? Because we're usually not in that world. And so this, to me, just, I don't know, I like, similar to that, I like this. I like seeing Han, who's probably never been in a place like this before, wandering around this yacht and seeing, a lounge singer and, people with serving trays and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. It's a new idea and it's fun. This reunion, of course, it's very sweet.
I love Emilia Clarke. She's great.
Yeah, well, you've interviewed her and had a great experience, right?
I've said before, one of the best interviews I had. She was just so fun, just very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I love her smile. Like you can see why Han is like no, Kira would never, like,
I know,
she'd never betray me, or like because she just smiles and you just can just fall into it, you know?
This story really works for me, the two of them, because all he's been thinking about is reuniting with her and how can I reunite with her? Well, then I'll join the military. I'll join these criminals. I'll do whatever it takes so I can go get her. And so this reunion is everything to him. And I love how she plays it because you can see that she's excited too, but she also knows things he doesn't know. She knows things have changed.
Yeah.
But there is still a genuine joy in her eyes seeing him. You know what I mean? Like that conflict and the balance that the tightrope she's trying to walk through this whole story with him and her relationship with him. I like that it's not like she smiles at him and then he walks away and then we see her smile drop. And so the whole movie we're like, right? Like, oh, that sucks. She's not with him, in her heart anymore. And I think they do a really good job of she must do what she has to do in this movie, but you can see her heart fighting against it the whole way. And that to me, I connect with that more.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah.
Oh, that was funny, by the way, too. I do like the when Beckett's just like, no one in here is your friend, so don't even like look at anybody. Like look at the floor. And then like Han literally does that. He's like a grown man, but he's like walking through the ship, just looking at the ground. Like, okay, can't look at anybody. Something about that makes me laugh. Well, we should speaking of changes. Yeah, we're gonna have to hopscotch stories here, but yeah, please.
Well, Dryden Voss, I think you were going to say this, was originally played by Michael Kenneth Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was in the Lord and Miller portion.
Yep.
And then after the changes and the reshoots, he just wasn't available. I think that's what it came down to, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, scheduling made it so he couldn't work with Ron Howard. But they did rethink his character.
Yeah, he was supposed to be kind of a cat-looking thing or something, right?
Yeah, so I actually have a quote from him. It was going to be a motion capture character.
Okay.
And he says it was half mountain lion, half human.
Okay.
Just reading his quotes here, he says, he was extremely sophisticated, very rich. He'd been around the world, older guy, and it was sort of a love triangle between Emilia Clarke's character and the young Han Solo. He said it was not necessarily a love triangle, but he said it was a pissing contest for her attention. Very different, right? And I think the thinking was if there is going to be this possible love triangle, I don't know that I'd call it a love triangle, but yeah, it certainly is the attention of Kira.
Right.
You can see her attention and feelings as different as they may be divided between Han and between Dryden. Yeah. And having him look a little more human-like versus a cat, I think helps sell that. And, makes it feel like more of a threat to Han.
Yeah, well, it's like, first of all, I think Paul Bettany is great in this movie. I really like him.
He's perfect. Because sometimes he puts you at ease and you're like, okay, we're good. I mean, I know I'm not in the best situation here, but he's being kind of like friendly to me, but then he'll turn on a dime and you're like, oh, he's going to kill me.
He kind of lulls you because he's Jarvis, for goodness sake, you get pulled in by his voice. So he's great. However, the fact that we missed out on ever having Michael Kenneth Williams in Star Wars is such a shame.
I agree. I mean, his energy would be amazing,
right,
in any of these movies. So I agree.
And
I do miss
we're
that.
never going to have that opportunity again, unfortunately.
Yeah, because he passed away. Also should note, I didn't know this till I did the research, but Dryden's scars on his face are CGI added in post.
Really?
Isn't that nuts?
That's fascinating.
They look really good.
That's great. Yeah.
And what's cool is when he gets angry, they turn more red.
So is that something they decided on later? Like, oh, he should have a look? Or was it something they decided from the beginning, oh, we'll just do it in post?
I don't know. But I can imagine, like, okay, we'll have this human character, but like maybe that's not exotic enough.
Right.
Because if you have a room full of humans talking, does it still feel Star Wars-y? So like giving him something, not just scars, but scars that change colors with his mood. Like it just adds that little, fantasy part to it.
See, I think we should have scars that are just moving around the face like Rorschach's mask,
Yeah, right.
That's just to mix it up a little.
And we should call it too. He has these sort of artifacts and relics and things in the background, and one of them is the fertility idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
And it's not even like hidden. You can see it like pretty clearly. Yeah, right there over Han's shoulder.
Yep.
And that skull, which I guess could be like a crystal skull, but like it reminds me of the thing from Temple of Doom with the stones in it. That skull.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently that's a tie-in to one of the old Legends novels.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there was several like young Han Solo novels written. Well, there's a few, but there were some by Brian Daley, who also wrote the Star Wars radio adaptations, which are a lot of fun. You've listened to those, right?
I've probably heard bits of them on YouTube, but I haven't really heard the whole thing.
Those are fun. Like if you're looking for something to listen to on a drive, just put those on. It's like the Star Wars radio play is something like 10 episodes, so it's like 5 hours. So they really expand it outward, so it's like before and during, and the Empire Strikes Back adaptation is terrific also, and Mark Hamill is in Star Wars and Empire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They actually get the actual actors. Well, doesn't the Star Wars one or A New Hope have like deleted scenes, right? Like where Luke is seeing the battle.
Yeah, deleted and like added scenes. So like you've got like the whole sequence where it's like where Leia and her and Bail Organa are like planning like the lead up to what happens, with the blockade runner and stuff. It's really interesting. It's like an artifact,
That's cool. I love that.
And it apparently Lucas, because they were on NPR, Lucas gave them the rights for $1.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And he gave them use of the music and sound effects, everything, and it was just a way to like help out NPR.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Donald
also
Glover.
I know we're he's what's funny is he's so perfect as Lando and just doing that Billy D. Williams-ism,
Yeah.
Just that swagger. And, I remember an interview he gave where he met with Billy D. Williams.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, he's like, does he do this because of this? And like trying to dig into his history. And Billy D. Williams said something to the effect of, I don't know what any of that is, man. Just he's just cool,
Right.
And he just went with that,
Hey, well, Donald Glover's got swagger too, so that's kind of perfect. Like meld it together and you get his interpretation.
I like it. I mean, I think both of these guys, Ehrenreich and Donald Glover, they do a good job of playing characters who feel like they become those other guys.
Totally. I did want to call that out. Yeah, when they're having that meeting with Dryden, I love that Han speaks up in meetings.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got an idea.
Yeah.
I'm a great pilot. It's like the cockiness, but a different version of the cockiness that we will know later.
Right.
Like we see him get humbled and hurt over the course of this story. And so he's still like kind of smug and cocky later, but he doesn't speak up like that anymore.
Right.
Which I love. I love seeing the early version. It resembles Han.
That's right.
It's not quite the Han we'll know yet, and we'll see how he gets there.
And that's tricky, right? Like the comparison I made at the time, and I think it's still apt, is it's like Chris Pine playing Captain Kirk, where like he's not doing a William Shatner impression, and yet when I see him, I believe he's Captain Kirk. I think Ehrenreich is doing something similar, where again, it's not, he's not, who is that guy? Everybody was like, oh, he should play young Han Solo. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? He does a pretty good.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he made videos on YouTube.
Anthony Gruber, that's his name.
Yeah, he does an excellent I don't want to say impersonation because he is playing him in as a role in a bunch of these sort of short films that are on YouTube. But he's definitely got like the eyes, right, and kind of the crooked smile and certainly the voice. Like he does a really good job.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know how he would have been, but like to me, I think the hope was that we would have several of these films. I'm sure that's what Disney was hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
And so to some extent, you need to disconnect the actor and the character.
Mm.
It can't be like a slavish imitation, right? And that's tricky. I mean, look, Sean Patrick Flannery and River Phoenix as younger Indy, like, you know, again, I think both of them have aspects of Harrison Ford. Neither of them, certainly River Phoenix was not imitating Harrison Ford.
Yeah, just he would do like certain affectations, but he wasn't doing a Harrison Ford imitation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that guy, you know, as good as he is, and he's very, very good, he is kind of imitating.
That's right. And that's, you know, I think if you lean so hard into imitation, then it's hard to, I think it's hard to bring a naturalism to it.
Completely agree.
Because, right, you can't make the character your own. You're playing Harrison Ford playing Han Solo.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly. Great point.
You know?
What's his name again?
Anthony and Gruber. Okay.
He also does a very good Robin Williams. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, I saw the video. Was this the one? Was it, or maybe there was somebody else, right? Was it the video where it was like from playing like when Robin Williams finds out that John Belushi died?
Oh, that might be what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Was that him?
I am. Well, now I'm going to be on the record, so I'm thinking. I am pretty sure. I feel like I remember seeing him do Robin Williams in a scene, like it was like a short film or something. So if it wasn't that, it was something very similar to that.
You know,
when
we
that
talk
cover me?
about, I think you're good. When we talk about becoming characters, you know, we were talking about the Star Wars radio plays. I just want to mention this real quick. In the Empire Strikes Back adaptation, John Lithgow does the voice of Yoda.
Huh.
And right, and you say, well, why wouldn't you get Frank Oz, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's just the voice, right? But Frank Oz was like, I only do Yoda when I'm doing the puppet.
Oh.
Literally, he's like, for me, Yoda is the performance is the puppet and the voice.
Fascinating.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And so that's why Lithgow did the voice.
You know, it's interesting in a big coincidence. Last night, my friend Chad and we went and saw An American Werewolf in London. It was playing at the theater by our house, and our houses, I should say. And Frank Oz is in
real
that.
quick. The actor who did that Robin Williams thing I was talking about, his name is Jamie Costa. So that was not Anthony Gruber.
Okay.
Just to be clear. Anyway, go on. For the record.
No, I'm glad. Frank Oz is in American Werewolf in London in just this very brief cameo. And it's funny because he shows up and you're like, I am like 90% sure that's Frank Oz. And he's like, what are you doing here? And you're like, oh my gosh, yep, that's Frank Oz.
Yep, 100%.
That voice is unmistakable.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He has a cameo in Blues Brothers also.
Yeah, the Landis connection, I guess.
All right, so Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yes. Kind of hot off of Fleabag probably in this moment.
At this moment, yeah, and there's Clint Howard, by the way.
Yeah.
One of two Lucasfilm characters that passed completely without comment or controversy.
Actually, as I was watching this, I was like, oh yeah, she's been in both major franchises for Lucasfilm. How funny.
That's right.
That effect looks very good, by the way, right? I guess that's her wearing a suit.
That's incredible.
Yeah, with some green stockings and things to hide her neck and whatever. But this looks
kind of a Jar Jar effect.
Yeah, I mean it's perfectly blended into that environment. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so you would definitely see Phoebe Waller-Bridge's personality
Oh,
come
definitely.
through. This is the most the most personality droid in all of Star Wars, I think.
Very much, yes.
Right?
Well, let's see here. So I have so much. It's like, how do I even keep track of all this stuff to talk about? So there was a Jonathan Kasdan, co-writer, was on Twitter and talked about some of the original ideas that Lord and Miller had for this.
Okay.
That ended up remaining in the movie even after they left.
Okay.
And I think part of that was developing the character of L3.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess Lord and Miller were the ones who came up with her being sort of this, I don't even know what you'd call it, like just her personality and, fighting for droid rights and all that sort of stuff.
So
and
that was a Lord and Miller edition.
Yeah, or something maybe they like workshopped with her or that was developed. But I mean, this sounds like something that the Kasdans were aware of and incorporated.
Sure.
And kept in there. So, but it does feel kind of like them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As long as we're talking about this stuff, other things that came from Lord and Miller that they kept. The opening land speeder chase through the streets of Corellia.
Okay.
Let's see. Their plan for Han and Chewbacca's first meeting stayed the same. Lord and Miller came up with the idea of Han speaking Wookiee, which feels right also.
Yeah.
They came up with the idea of Han and Kira kissing in Lando's cape closet.
Yes. By the way, real quick, right here where we saw, where, there's the essentially the Falcon has a what did it say, the dampener on it, the boot. It's been booted, and so I remember when Lando initially he's like, I want 50%, and then they talked him down to 25, and then to take the thing off, talked him down to 20. You might say this deal keeps getting worse all the time.
That's hilarious. Would you have been upset if they had him say that?
I would have been okay with that.
Kind of me too, even though
that's just his thing. He's always in deals, like he never learns.
Yeah, then we realize, like, oh, maybe he's always on the losing end of things.
Maybe he's just always just really bad, By the way, we talked right past the fact that they found like an in-canon explanation for why Billy D always calls him Han.
Yes, very funny.
Right, which is just, initially you're like, oh, well, that's just, that's just what he calls him, I guess, But it's like, no, Lando's being a dick to him. And so that's like their banter. I kind of love that.
Yeah, I like that too. Also, speaking of when the deal's getting worse for Lando, I love where he's just kind of quiet for a second. And he's like, I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I accept it. That's a great line.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that might be the first use of the word ass in Star Wars.
It popped out to me too. I think it might be also. It's kind of funny because they don't, use a lot of English curse words often.
Yeah.
So when they do it, it's always like, oh, fascinating.
Actually, you know what? I stand corrected. In The Last Jedi, Poe Dameron talks about the big ass door.
Yeah, it feels right. No, I'm just kidding.
Right after the Yo Mama joke,
Right, that's right.
Which also passed without controversy, I believe. Nobody had anything to say.
Right. Now this, excuse me, this is when they started using, I guess now we call it the volume. I don't even know if we knew what it was called at this point, but they had these
volume.
they had these enormous screens.
Wow.
So they didn't have to put in green screen effect of the light speed. Right. And so you can actually have the actors looking at that and reacting to what they're seeing and having the light dance on their faces. And I think it's amazing. I think like perfect use of it.
Imagine being those actors. You're sitting in that bridge, you're looking out that porthole, and you're seeing that effect.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dude. How could you not have like a grin on your face that you just couldn't conjure otherwise?
I was going to say nerd boner, but I like your one.
Yeah. I forgot what that game's called, but the game table here with the holographic pieces. Kind of fun. You can see how discolored the ship becomes.
I know, man. They really let it go.
Yeah, because here it's all new and white and shiny. And now this moment is kind of nice
It's called
because
Dejaric, by the way.
Dejaric. Nice.
Yeah.
This resembles the moment with Han and Leia.
Oh yeah,
on
absolutely.
the ship, which is great.
An interrupted kiss on the Falcon.
Yeah, I love it. It rhymes. It's like poetry.
Well. Speaking of that, this moment here is one of the moments where they were shooting, and George Lucas came to visit the set, so he watched them. He watched them shooting, and one of his bits of direction ended up in the film.
Do you remember what it was? I remember that anecdote, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, right there where we saw Han take the cape and just toss it to the side
instead of hanging it up.
Yeah, he's like Han wouldn't hang up Lando's cape.
It does feel more Han.
He's like, you guys are ruining Star Wars already. God damn it! And then he stormed off. And so, as a courtesy, Ron Howard was like, I guess we should do what he said.
Yeah. Now, but see, I like this. I like that they're both in this moment together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
because it just makes it
like he doesn't have to push her too much, you know?
Yeah. Like she misses him too. And it's bringing something back for her also. And it just makes it more tragic that it ultimately doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But if we knew from the start that she was a little removed and just kind of leading him along, it wouldn't play right for me.
See, what I wonder about is what is the end of the Han and Kira story?
Yeah.
Right? Because I have to believe that that's all done with before he meets Leia.
Right. Definitely. Yeah.
You know?
Because, he gets his heart broken at the end of this one, and that is plenty. Like, I can work with that. I can run with that and bring that into the other movies.
Right.
But I think you have to assume this was a planned trilogy.
Yeah, that's right.
And so they must have had an even bigger heartbreak coming somehow.
Exactly. Something,
but we do get her, whether she wants to or not, having to leave him at the end, and it hurts him. And that's at least we get that. So we can take that with us.
That's right.
That's funny. Donald Glover there. You think I can get you? And she's like, equal rights. And he's just just sighs and walks off.
It's hilarious.
So we're seeing the Kessel Run, right?
We're going to eventually.
We're going to, yeah.
So in that sense, this is a feature length version of the beginning of Indy 3, right? Like it's like, what are all the Han Solo things that we need to cram in?
Well, good thing they did.
One crazy afternoon for Han, you know.
Right.
He's got to get his blaster. He's got to meet Chewie. He's got to do the Kessel Run. He's got to get the Falcon. I think that's basically it, right?
Yeah. Okay, so now I have a question for you. How do you feel about Lando having a possible romantic relationship with his droid?
It's a choice, right?
It's a choice. I remember at the time trying to like roll with it a little bit, like okay, but it's just like enough for me where I'm like, that seems kind of silly.
Yeah, I
leaning more silly than I'd like.
I don't really understand it. It doesn't strike me as necessary.
But Zachy, it works.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, to me, and I don't know, we don't know exactly what Lord and Miller did and what Ron Howard did, but that feels like a Lord and Miller, like, let's try this. Wouldn't that be kind of funny? And then why not? I don't know, did it make you laugh? Well, then it works, kind of a thing. Whether or not it feels like it ultimately makes sense.
Well, so this gets to essentially like what led to their parting of ways, right? Is that Lord and
Yes.
Miller have a more, or had, I should say, because we're speaking in the wake of the stratospheric success of Project Hail Mary, which I think the word people would use to describe it is earnest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So clearly they have the ability, or they have since learned to navigate tones more judiciously. But what came to the fore here is that their process involved a lot of improvising and a lot of foregrounding of comedy and a lot of, oh, that's funny, go with that type of thing.
Or let's try this. Why don't we try that? Let's try this. Yeah.
So sort of Judd Apatow school,
Mm-hmm.
and that led to Alden Ehrenreich going to the higher ups at Lucasfilm being like, I don't think this is working for me.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't remember if this quote came from him, but in one of those reports, someone said sometimes it felt like Han was acting like Ace Ventura, like very muggy and goofy and strange, and that it was making a lot of people uncomfortable, like they were becoming concerned.
Fascinating.
Right? But yeah, so now I'm starting to look at like articles I had read. Apparently, Kasdan's pretty diplomatic in his quotes, but according to
this is the senior Kasdan.
I'm sorry, yes, Lawrence Kasdan. Yeah. But according to reports, he was getting pretty angry at like the screwball tone and sort of freewheeling approach they were taking to the script, because he wanted the film shot the way it was written. Right. Let's see. According to a quote here, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Unnamed actors from the film told the paper that Lord and Miller's approach exhausted and frustrated some of the solo set, including experienced crew members who pressured the directors to move faster. And then this, right? And then this is, well, they would shoot dozens of different versions of scenes straying from what was in the script, is another quote. Then Lawrence Kasdan, this is him talking about realizing that their vision wasn't matching his own. His quote says, "Tone is everything to me. That's what movies are made of. But this was a very complicated situation. When you go to work in the morning on a Star Wars movie, there are thousands of people waiting on you, and you have to be very decisive and very quick about it. There are a million split-second decisions to make each day. You are committing to a certain tone. Should any of the producers raise an issue, you're going to have trouble." So, and then he says nobody was happy about what went down. Ultimately, it was agony. So, and then Emilia Clarke has a quote here saying that the Lord and Miller, this is the quote, seemed to be figuring it out as they went along. So,
well, I'd like to believe that their experience on this led them to the success they've enjoyed on Project Hail Mary.
I wonder, like you said, like maybe they learned some lessons from it, like how far to push.
Yeah.
But then again, who's to say in the end they might not have found that place? They just seem like they want to experiment. They want to play around and capture 100 different things and then find it in the edit. Right. And so maybe they would have been like, oh, we thought that would be funny, but when we see the whole, all of it put together, it doesn't quite work like we thought. Don't know.
Yeah.
But Kasdan and Lucasfilm wasn't willing to take that bet,
I think, look, I mean, the fact that they shot this movie twice, in essence, is part of the reason why it ended up being such a money pit, I think, I mean, look, the original Star Wars films were, relatively speaking, low budget compared to what we have now, right? And that worked in those movies' favor, because you were the sky was not the limit in terms of what you could accomplish and what you could spend. And having limitations to work within is a good thing,
Right.
By the way, I wanted to mention real quick Beckett wearing, the prison guard outfit that Lando wears later in Return of the Jedi. I kind of love that Lando just had that sitting in a closet, just waiting for the right opportunity one day.
Yeah, that's like his disguise.
He's like, now's my time.
Yeah. Now, if we could revise Return of the Jedi, he might be like, "Old faithful."
That's
Putting on
right.
the disguise.
like they're making the plan, and Leia's like, okay, Lando, we're gonna need you to, and she like turns around, and he's already like got the mask on.
Right.
Got it.
Right. But anyway, so apparently there was some break when they were moving from one location to another, and let's see, a bunch of people reviewed the footage and didn't like how it was coming together, and so they decided to fire Lord and Miller, and they had to bring someone in to not just finish the movie but reshoot a major chunk of it. And so they got Ron Howard.
I mean, luckily, he was available to come aboard, right? That by itself is remarkable because he's a pretty busy guy. And I mean, he's a journeyman, right? Like we've talked about before. Like he doesn't necessarily have a distinct authorial stamp, right? I don't know what makes a Ron Howard film.
Right.
Except that they tend to be watchable.
Yeah.
That's about it,
Yeah. So I like this, by the way. So now we have, they're on Kessel, right? The Spice Mines of Kessel, which is
the Spice Mines of Kessel.
We hear referenced in New Hope.
Only spoken of in hushed tones up until now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to see what that is. And I guess spice in the Star Wars universe is kind of like a drug.
Yeah, and it's obviously when Lucas came up with it, it was a little bit of a reference to Dune.
Yeah,
but now it's its own thing.
Yep. So they're busting in to go get some unrefined coaxium to replace the shipment that they had to drop that got destroyed, and L3 basically goes in there and inspires a robot to rebel, and then she basically gets a whole droid rebellion going on that just creates a bunch of chaos. That's what we're seeing. Yeah. But I love, as they're escaping now, that Chewie sees some other Wookiees being used as like slave labor, and he just can't let it go. And Han's like, "No, we gotta go." But Chewie's like, "I can't." And I love that Han's like, "Okay, here," and like gives him a weapon. Go do what you got to do.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I hope I see you around."
Yep.
Like he's never expecting to see him again.
Yep. But I just love it. I mean, this is just such a great MacGuffin. It's just so understandable. It's cool. Like we see it in this state where it's stable and it's bright and it's kind of this cool white looking, whitish blue color. But then later when it's becoming unstable, it's like like inky and kind of like, oh, that's not good.
Right.
This is hilarious. The Lando Chronicles or the Calrissian Chronicles.
The Calrissian Chronicles.
So anyway, Ron Howard.
So this, by the way, real quick, he's referencing a story. There was also a series of Lando novels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he says like the Shanu or the Sharu or something like that. That's like one of the Lando Calrissian novels.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that. That's great. If you'd read those books, you feel really seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also like, by the way, that Lando is wearing like that's the same shirt or color, I should say, that he wears in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he wears like the mustard colored shirt.
How funny. Yeah, I just think this is a great set piece. And then it's like you got all that stuff, but the difficulty of getting it out. But then because they help the Wookiees, then the Wookiees, help push the stuff out. I don't know. It's just well done.
Chewie still got his back.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Going back, Ron Howard, he's brought in. This is from an interview he did with vulture.com. It's a little lengthy, but I'll try to read it quickly.
Was the interview contemporaneous to the, or is it after the fact?
After the fact. I think this was a little portion of a longer interview about his career.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is Ron Howard. He said, "I like Solo a lot too, but that also underperformed and was affected by behind the scenes drama. I'd always been curious about Star Wars, and Solo landed in my lap when I didn't have another movie set to go. My wife Cheryl and I were vacationing in Paris. I went to London to see Hans Zimmer play at the O2, and I reached out to Kathy Kennedy just to say hi, and she said, "Do you want to come have breakfast?" Can you imagine? Like she gets like a little text from Ron Howard. She's like, "Hey, come over." I said, "Okay." John Kasdan eventually showed up. They basically said, "We've reached a creative impasse with Lord and Miller. Would you ever consider coming in?" I looked at some edited footage and I saw what was bothering them. There was a studio that liked the script the way it was and wanted a Star Wars movie, but there was a disconnect early on tonally, and they weren't convinced that what Phil and Chris were doing was working effectively. I couldn't judge that because I didn't see enough of it to know, but they were sure. Once I said, "Okay, I think I can do this script, and I think I understand what you want of this script," they said, "We'd want to reshoot a lot." I looked at the whole movie and then pointed out some things that I thought were great, and Phil and Chris were incredibly gracious throughout that process. They were just seeing two different movies. So I came in, I had a blast, and there's nothing personal about that film whatsoever. It's still just a shame. I can't wait for Phil and Chris's next movie. And then the interviewer says, "What did George Lucas tell you?" And Ron Howard says, "I talked to him once early when I was just thinking about doing it. He wasn't active on the films, but he said, just don't forget it's for 12-year-old boys." So pretty diplomatic, but also I think, an interesting glimpse.
I mean, honestly, it feels like that foul up rests with the producers. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there should have been clarity well before cameras rolled about what parameters the directors were playing within.
Yeah, especially if you are familiar with their style of every movie they've made before.
Right? Because if you're Lord and Miller, you're like, well, you hired us because you've seen our reel,
Mm-hmm.
And so their assumption, unless they're told otherwise, is just do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, I mean, this was the same year, a few months after this movie came out was Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which Lord and Miller did.
Yep.
And
which also, based on reports, has a very freewheeling.
Yeah, I mean, clearly,
process.
because the third one, is just it went from it's coming out in 6 months to you'll see it when you see it. Shut the hell up.
Exactly. Yep. But you can also kind of imagine, especially in this moment where, like we said, we didn't have the shows. Even the scores at this point are still trying to sound like John Williams, and I think they've given up on that now at this point.
Yeah.
A lot of things in Star Wars felt sacrosanct,
That's right.
And so they probably thought, yeah, we're going to hire Rian Johnson and we're going to hire Lord and Miller. We're going to hire these people, but you're going to make Star Wars. You're not making a Lord and Miller movie.
That's
not a defense, by the way, but I'm just imagining that's what was in their heads.
No, I get it. I just think that, the sense of like, oh, we've got all the money in the world. Oh yeah, we got to reshoot the movie again. No problem.
Yeah, and they reshot 70%.
Yeah,
that's how much Ron Howard shot. 70% of this movie.
Yeah, and that's part of that is like necessitated by guild rules, so that determining who gets credit for a film. But that's kind of amateur hour, like how do you not figure this stuff out ahead of time?
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, I'm a Kathleen Kennedy fan because she has produced not only some of my favorite films ever, but just some of the greatest films of the last 40 plus years. Right. And however, she has worked with world-class directors.
I was about to say, right?
Right?
I think you take for granted when Steven Spielberg is who you work with most of the time,
yes, who have very clear voices and know exactly the movie they're making.
Right.
Yep.
And when you think about it, I mean, it's interesting how, depending on the film, the role of a producer or director can be flipped, right? Like when it came to the Star Wars prequels, George Lucas was the director, Rick McCallum was the producer, but Rick McCallum's job was to do whatever George Lucas wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came time to the sequels, the onus shifted,
Mm-hmm.
because it was the producer's job to really make sure this entire thing was coming together, you know?
Right.
And it was the director's job to execute the producer's vision.
Right. Right.
I like how in this sequence, when we see the Star Destroyers, we hear the Empire music from A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Which never
As
comes
opposed to
back.
Yeah, I think we hear it in a Rogue One.
Oh, Rogue One, sure.
But yeah, you know, because once Williams came up with the Imperial March for Empire Strikes Back, well, gosh, it was so good that they had to adopt it in universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is literally the Empire's theme in universe.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the Kessel Run, you know, famously, this is like it's all born of what I have to imagine was just a mistake in the original film, which is,
yes.
I made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, and you say, well, a parsec is you know, a distance, not time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so Lucas, I mean, I remember him talking about it in the commentary for A New Hope. He's like, well, no, because you have to plot the course. And so if you plot the course, and you know, it's all your skill as a pilot is how skillfully can you plot the course. And I'm like, bro, that's like all bullshit, but I give you all the credit in the world. That is like impressive bullshit. So golf clap for your bullshit.
Right.
Jedi Master Lucas, you know? And so, you know, I don't think he ever thought it would have to be, you know, actualized.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's all a bunch of hugger-mugger anyway. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, this is, speaking of like the music, kind of a greatest hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we get the New Hope music, and then when we've got, they're dodging.
We get the asteroid field later.
Yep, exactly. I will say,
I do.
Yes, no, please.
Real quick. When you look at the Falcon with the escape pod in the mandible,
yes,
right. And I was thinking, I like how the film makes clear to say that itself was a retrofit that Lando made. Because if you remember, we see the Millennium Falcon in Revenge of the Sith, and it looks like,
oh yeah,
it looks like our Falcon, you know?
Oh, that's so funny. So I didn't think about that.
They specifically say, no, that was a change that Lando made, so it happened after.
That is really funny. I remember when this movie was coming out, they created a life-size Falcon that looked like this with the pod up front on Hollywood Boulevard for the premiere.
Really?
And so I was working at Puppy Dog Pals at the time, and this other writer, Gene, and I were like, we got to go see it. And so on like a lunch break or something, we got in a car, we drove down there, and we got high up. I have pictures of us. It's magical. Like you're just standing next to a life-size Millennium Falcon. It was amazing.
That's surreal.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And that's what there is on in Galaxy's Edge now, right?
That's true. Yeah, I guess I think I especially have those feelings because that was before that. So that was like the first time I got to stand next to the Falcon. But yes, they have a recreated Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge, and it's so cool. It's really amazing.
So that you've been there.
Yes.
You can't go inside.
No, it's like a big prop. I mean, it looks very, very good. But then, you know, there's a ride. I forgot what the ride's called, but you get to pilot the Falcon and go on a mission.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So you do get to feel like you're walking through its halls at one point and sit in the cockpit.
I see.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just going back to what we were talking about earlier, the whole Lando L3 thing, like his emoting over her death struck me as odd because I'm like, well, it's a droid. I mean, like don't they repair droids all the time in these things?
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess. See, yes. And what they end up doing is they take her, I don't know what you call it, her hard drive or something, and they plug it into the Falcon so they can use her maps to figure out the quickest way to get out of this situation.
Yeah, so that she's forcibly enslaved for the rest of her existence, just like she would have wanted. It's great.
Yeah, it's like that Black Mirror episode where the people's consciousnesses are put into like a hard drive somewhere. Right. And it's like, are you really alive? Or are you just like in some sort of weird hell? I don't know.
Right? I mean, especially for L3, whose whole thing is like droid freedom.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, this is a terrible story. This is like an O. Henry story for her.
That's right. She instigated a robot rebellion only to be enslaved for all of existence.
That is kind of like tragically beautiful on a story sense. I mean, I don't love it. That's not the ending I would want for her, but like kind of works as a dark tragedy. But to your point, Lando could be putting up more of a fight about doing that because that means she's never coming back.
See, that's good.
Right? Like maybe there is the hope. It's like, okay. I mean, she's really messed up, but maybe we could repair her. And it's like, no, we need her maps.
But really, see, this all works out because you know, they're trying to save Lando from himself also, right? They're like, there's a guy, he's sticking his wiener in toasters. We don't know what he's doing. This is good for everybody.
Yeah, we got a nice human girl we can introduce you to. Like maybe, you know, like when you're ready, mourn as long as you need. So, okay. Part of me, I've wondered why I'm doing that Fred Armisen thing that Sean always accuses me of. So the thing about that, well, let me begin with what I'm trying to say is, I think this movie has been reappraised.
Sure. You
know, in the years after it's come out.
See, I would argue it has been appraised because it was not watched.
Sure. But people were a little like mixed-ish, kind of positive on it, I think, when it came out. But I think people now are like, you know what, this is like a great adventure.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that way. You and I both. But I do think maybe one of the reasons that this movie hasn't stuck as much as it could have is it's a good story, but I don't know that it has like the punchy set pieces that some of the other Star Wars movies have.
Yeah.
And I would mainly point to this one, which is I don't understand what they're doing or where they're going.
No, I would agree. I think this is the least interesting of our set pieces.
Which is terrible because this is the Kessel Run. Like this should be the set piece, right? I mean, the train set piece, I've already said it, I think is amazing and well executed. And like everything I was praising about that set piece does not apply to this one. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they're going. I don't even know are they in a cave? Like it seems kind of like that at the end when he has to turn the ship on its side. But all this is just real, what we talk about, that sort of CGI gobbledygook.
Well, I think it's meant to foreground Han's skill,
which I think is on display well here. This I understand, where this like whirlpool sort of situation.
I gotta say, whether it's on display or not, I would not know, but for the fact that earlier in the movie, right before Rio died, he said, "You're one hell of a pilot," and I said, "Now I know." If that had not been said, I'd be totally adrift.
Right.
In Star Wars, you have to say somebody's one hell of a pilot. Otherwise, it's just lost.
How would we know?
Yeah. You know, it's just like basic language in Star Wars.
Yeah. But, you know, like,
to me, it's just too much. It's too much becomes too much. And it going back to what we were saying earlier, it feels a little bit like box checking. Because I don't really care about ever seeing the Kessel Run. To me, just hearing about it is enough, right? So it feels like, we got to show the Kessel Run, so we're doing it, you know.
But even if you call it whatever you want to call it, I mean, when they're trying to evade the TIE fighters, they're literally just in indistinguishable CGI gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And this is where I think it finally comes together, where there's this whirlpool, or what do they call it, like a black hole well or something,
Right.
that is pulling them down as something is closing ahead of them, and we just know they need to get out of that pull, and they can use the MacGuffin that they've gotten. Like, that makes sense. That's the only part of this that is understandable to me, and that's why the ending is very exciting. But I wish that, I don't know, maybe they're navigating like a really narrow trench, and he's got to be really good at maneuvering, or so, like something that I can see and understand. I think would make that whole sequence
I think it's
a
better.
little better.
Yeah. Once you just have a bunch of CGI gleep glop, I tend to start being like, okay, let's move to the next thing.
And it really makes you appreciate the asteroid field sequence from like almost 40 years earlier.
Right.
When they had so much less to work with, but you can see
less is more.
Right. And you can see the danger, and you can see the Falcon, whoa, going right, whoa, bank left, and we see the danger with the TIE fighters colliding into those asteroids, and as the Falcon swoops past them. So it's amazing that something 40 years older kind of works.
Now, I got to say, now this is a callback / call forward that I do like.
What's that?
I hate you. I know.
I know. Yeah, right.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah, I like it. And I do love seeing the ship all beaten up, and yeah, we got like a real love-hate thing here now with Lando and Han.
See, this is where I would have liked to see more adventures of these two,
100%. By the way, did you know how Alden Ehrenreich was discovered?
No.
He was discovered by Steven Spielberg. He was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 14 years old. And he was in like a home movie that he and his friends had made that was being shown at a bat mitzvah. And Spielberg was there and was like, hey, who's that guy? And got him an agent and launched his career.
Well, look at that.
And he has a pretty insane start. I mean, his first couple movies are with Francis Ford Coppola. He was in Tetro and Twixt. And then he was in Stoker, and he was in Blue Jasmine, Woody Allen movie, before, when people are still watching them. And he was in the Coen Brothers' Hail Caesar. He's in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. He's in
luckily,
Weapons.
He has had a pretty solid post solo career.
Yeah, he's not someone that I feel like has really broken through. But he's been in a lot of impressive.
If you're working, like, again, you got Oppenheimer on your resume, you're doing okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially with Nolan, who seems to have a company that he works with. You got to feel like when he brings you in, you're like, oh, yes.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be one of the sirens in the Odyssey. I don't know.
Right.
He also he was in Ironheart. The Marvel series.
Oh, okay.
And he's quite good. He plays the son of Obadiah Stane.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And he was good in it. That show was good. It didn't get talked about very much, but it was good.
I kind of remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Desert.
Yeah. There's something to be said for actual locations,
Yeah. But there's something about Star Wars and sand. I don't know what it is, but it just feels right.
It feels right. Yeah, I think that, like you said, the plan, the hope had been, maybe not the plan, to be able, like, to have this film stake out a lane for more dips back into, character origins and stuff. And it really sucks that this one underperforming just made them kibosh the whole thing. Because, you and I, we talked about this before. Obi-Wan Kenobi should have been a movie.
Yes, definitely.
It would have been better for it,
Mm-hmm.
So Enfys Nest here, up to this point, we're thinking of as a rival gang or what have you, but it's the progenitors of the rebellion.
Mm-hmm. which I like a lot.
I think it's smart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is very funny. He's like, that feels like a Lord and Miller moment, doesn't it? Where he's like,
Definitely.
I'll give him a signal to come. And then right then the Falcon takes off.
Yeah, he's like, the 30 armed men just ready to come out at my order. And then it takes off. But that also feels very Han.
It does. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
a trick. I mean,
that's very cartoon-like, isn't it, by the way? Him stepping away from the line and then having to slowly step back like, sorry.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's very funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good twist. And it goes a long way in helping us understand Han's character. You know, Kira says it. Like, you know, I know something about you that
Wait a minute. Enfys Nest is a girl. Right. That's the look on Han's face right there.
Yeah.
Now, this is Erin Kellyman playing basically the same role she would play like 2 years later in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She was leader of the Flag Smashers.
I forgot all about that. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's just basically that's her deal. She's just like the misunderstood revolutionary, you know?
That's so interesting. Yeah.
She's got a lane all to herself.
Yeah. Yeah, this does look good though. You can see real wind blowing things.
That's what was so desperately out of whack in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Speaking of which, right? Like, that was the first time where I was like, guys, knock it off with the volume. Holy shit.
Yeah, that movie looks very cheap. Did I say movie?
The series?
Yeah, series. Yeah.
Like, low budget and stretched out, which is weird. I'm like talking past myself here because I'm like, you know, low budget can be good sometimes. And I think there's like a middle ground between, you know, shoot everything on a sound stage and have a couple of crates in front of the camera, you know, and infinity dollars. I feel like there's like a middle ground.
Yeah. It's all about the blend.
That's right.
Blend.
So I'd like to believe that Warwick Davis is playing the same character he was in Phantom Menace.
I read that he was, but I can't confirm that. But I saw that somewhere.
You know what? That's my headcanon. I think timeline-wise that works, right? Because Phantom Menace is like 20 years before this, right? Like, what is it like? Phantom Menace would be, when would that be actually? This is see, this is where like the Star Wars nerds listening are like, God damn it! This is 10 BBY or whatever the hell. I think it's about 20 years after Phantom Menace. I think that checks out, right?
Yeah.
Let's just go with it. Like, I know this is about 10 years before Star Wars, right? Because so that gave him about 10 years worth of story to play with before we're supposed to meet him in Mos Eisley.
Right.
See, I think to your point that you were making about Woody Harrelson, I just think of Woody Harrelson as a great actor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he does have a persona, but he also, I mean, like he was in the Planet of the Apes movie like a year before this, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great villain, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I hope I'm being clear. Like, he does work for me. I do think he does a good
hate
job.
Woody Harrelson. Just admit it. Just admit it. You've never liked him. You've always resented his success.
That's how deep it goes. Yeah, like I personally hate Woody Harrelson. It's not his performances. Like no, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to lose myself in it. Occasionally, but he is doing a very good job. So that's just the
I think he is the exact actor you want to play a character like Beckett, where he's just likable enough where you're like, maybe he's like one of our scoundrels, right?
Totally. And even if he does fire at you with his weapon at some point and misses, and then goes, can't blame a guy for trying. You're like, you know what I mean? Like he's one of those people that can kind of pull that off.
That's a short list.
Yeah, maybe Maybe you gotta with Woody Harrelson.
I remember when I talked to Steven Weber on the Nostalgia Theater show like many moons ago, and we were talking about when he was on Wings and how Thomas Hayden Church played like the lovable doofus on that show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him about how it's funny how like Thomas Hayden Church on Wings and Woody Harrelson on Cheers were both kind of doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And both of these guys are like two of our great actors now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just weird how that works,
I do remember it was strange when Woody Harrelson did Natural Born Killers.
Mm-hmm.
Because up to that, I mean, it was like White Men Can't Jump, where he's still playing kind of a charming guy with a drawl. And
That's right.
Doc Hollywood, charming guy with a drawl. But then playing this sociopath in that movie was like, what? It doesn't compute.
But that helped, turn the ship of his career to some extent.
Totally. It just opened things up for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cocky he is. And just so more self-assured and vocal. He vocalizes so much. And I love that we know that Han won't be like that later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Youthful.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Abraham Lincoln said that.
Did he really say that?
No. Sorry. I was trying to make a bad joke, and then I picked someone that sounded too credible. Sorry about that.
that does sound like something he would say, right?
I know. I picked a man who was full of good quotes, like an idiot. Or Mark Twain might have been in the same vein, where it's like
Mark Twain.
Maybe.
I could see, like Twain, Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I just love this friendly, ominous energy that Dryden gives.
That's what's great, right? Like the whole thing where he's like, "Oh, just open it up." You're like, "Oh shit, I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something." Just bring it here. Show me what I got. Like Paul Bettany, man, he's such a good actor.
Yes, very effortless. And this whole triangle situation is very interesting here because we've seen Kira genuinely, on Han's side.
Yeah,
and we know that she is also loyal to Dryden. It's just a lot of complicated dynamics happening here and double crossing, and I just think this is really rich.
I think that what becomes clear is that Kira, when she leaves at the end, that's a sacrifice that she's making.
Yes, not a betrayal.
Yeah, right. Like I think that's important, and that's what I mean when I say I would have liked to see the culmination of that storyline, it's a shame,
I agree. It also feels very Han to bring this stuff in, these like crates with the goods inside, and then the bad guy to be like, show me. And he's like, show you? You want to see it? Sure. But then it also still feels very Han for him to lift the lid so the camera can see he's got a gun hidden in the lid.
Yep.
He's thinking ahead.
I remember when Alden Ehrenreich was out, making the press rounds for this, and Ron Howard brought in Harrison Ford like behind him to surprise him during one of these junkets. And it was just, they had obviously spoken before, but having Harrison Ford right there, just being like, I loved it so much. I'm so proud of what he did and the choices he made. Like, can you imagine being this young actor and here's Harrison Ford telling you, you did great with my character?
No.
Like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
how does that feel like?
You can see the footage of it and you can just see sort of a whole panoply of emotions going over Ehrenreich's face,
That's great.
I just thought that was really cool.
Double crosses.
Double crosses and then the double crosses of the double crosses.
Exactly. By the way, just kind of looking at my notes again, we haven't talked about the fact that John Williams wrote a theme for Han Solo, finally,
I
after all
know.
these years, for this movie.
I was thinking about how for Solo and for Obi-Wan Kenobi, he came back and wrote themes for these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear them and you're like, well, of course, that's the Han Solo theme.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well, that's the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme. It's always been the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme,
Yep.
That's the master still at work,
Yep. And I guess Ron Howard had worked with him once before on Far and Away.
Ah, yes.
Kind of a forgotten movie.
I was going to say, I had forgotten about that movie.
I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it since the 90s.
That's I mean, unfortunately, I feel like that's like many Ron Howard movies where you're like, oh, that was good. I haven't seen it,
Yeah, sort of like Backdraft, and you're like, oh, that's good. It's been a while.
The Paper.
The Paper, yeah.
That's a good one.
Paul 13, which I hadn't seen in a while till we did the commentary, and then we'd rewatch it, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Ron Howard's best, I would say, is Apollo 13. That's me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now
that I think of it, he worked with Paul Bettany on Da Vinci Code, which is probably how that's how he got into the Rolodex.
Yeah, or was it A Beautiful Mind? Was that the first one?
Was Da Vinci Code after Beautiful Mind? Oh, it was. Yeah, Beautiful Mind was like 2000, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I forgot he's in Beautiful Mind.
Another one where I'm like, I think that one's pretty good. Haven't seen it since 2000.
He's the imaginary friend.
Right. I wonder if that's where Bettany met Jennifer Connelly.
I was like, that must be where they met. Yeah.
Yeah.
That bastard. He wins at life.
Yeah, I know, right?
Jeez. Yeah, these creatures, kind of what you're talking about. You can tell that it's prosthetic, so maybe some digital enhancement on it, but it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
The old ways still work just fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, Han had a plan. Taking out Dryden's guys.
See, I think this is a conversation you and I have had before about how Han Solo has become such the archetype of like the rogue with the heart of gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it, so many characters since you're like, oh, it's like a Han Solo type, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there had to have been one before Han Solo,
huh?
But I can't think of one off the top of my head,
I know. It could be that phenomenon that we talk about where the stuff we grew up with somehow has never gone away.
Right.
It just keeps being remade or sequels are made for them. Whereas the influences have not, carried forward for some reason. So, yeah, I mean, there's some character that Lucas had in mind. I'm sure he was inspired by.
Right.
Something he watched when he was a kid, but I'm not sure who that character is. Could be someone he knows.
See, I always thought he had a ham salad. And he was like, ham salad. Ham salad. And then, that's how we That's my Bohemian Rhapsody style biopic movie of
Yeah. Well, that did actually happen a lot to him, right? That's where R2-D2 came from.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, someone talking about a reel of sound. Like it was reel 2, dialogue 2. He's like, say that again?
R2-D2, yeah.
And then in the movie THX 1138, an actor had a friend whose last name was Wookiee. And so he like improvised a line where he's like, I think I ran over a Wookiee or something like that. And Lucas was like, say that again. And so, I mean, there's a lot of the George Lucas in Love parody, that happened in like 99, right? Where it's like a riff on Shakespeare in Love, where he just all these things happening around him at USC inspire the Star Wars films. It's kind of true. So who knows?
I love it.
Ham salad.
That's my origin story.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, all this dynamic here, and now Kira's got Han pinned, but she's going to eventually take out, all this just works for me.
Well, I love that. Like, you look at Emilia Clarke's face right there, and she looks sinister, right?
Mm-hmm. Like she might kill him.
That right, and yet she's just able to navigate both lanes so effectively. Because when she smiles, I mean, you just feel yourself melting. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, I mean, Paul Bettany is relatively wiry,
Yeah.
and yet he's able to come off as like physically intimidating.
Yeah.
This, by the way, we should mention this martial art. It's Terraskasi, which I remember from the video game Masters of Terraskasi.
Oh, interesting.
Which is like Star Wars Street Fighter.
Oh, funny. When was that from?
Gosh, late 90s, I want to say, mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it has that blocky, like you remember Virtua Fighter?
Yes.
Where it's like, it doesn't look like, it's not Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. It's kind of blocky.
Yeah.
It was like that, but it's like, oh, you want to have like Boba Fett and Han Solo fight each other martial arts style? And so that was Star Wars.
That's so funny. There's just so much to draw from.
Yeah.
For all these movies, right? I mean, I talked about this when I worked on Young Jedi. We had a lore person in every story break who's just, their job was to know everything about Star Wars. There's just so much to know. So if you are going to go to a certain sort of planet, or if you want a certain, this person is a great fighter, they could be like, oh, well, there's a special sort of version of martial arts that they would then be trained in. You should call it the right thing.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I mean, in the 90s, I'm going to say like, before the prequels and everything started getting standardized, you had this, it was like when did Heir to the Empire come out? That was like 91, I think, right? So we had like an 8-year run where Star Wars suddenly came back. And they were just doing all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun, because it was, they had the Shadows of the Empire, all of that. They had the video game and everything. And, they had the Super Star Wars and Super Empire Strikes for the SNES. Right. Yep. And they were stupid. Like you had Luke running through the deserts of Tatooine shooting scorpions and stuff.
Oh, it was so dumb, but I loved it.
Right?
Like it was the closest thing to feeling like the movies, playing the movies.
That's what I'm saying, right? It was like, that was a fun era where it was just kind of just putting it all out there,
Mm-hmm.
So this stuff with Darth Maul, honestly, they've largely left it to wither on the vine, with the exception of the Maul Shadow Lord series now.
Mm-hmm.
So it took them a little while to circle back to it, but it's a shame because this Maul part is the only thing that really seems to be gesturing towards a cliffhanger in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like everything else, you can just sort of be like, well, we don't need to see another one because, Han and Chewie have the Falcon and off they go,
Mm-hmm.
But this here, it's like, well, this demands some kind of follow-up,
Yeah.
It was nice that they got Ray Park back.
Yes.
For him, that was a solid 19-year wait to reprise the role.
Right. It is kind of funny how, just in case you're not entirely sure who that is, he has to like have his double-bladed, double-sided lightsaber.
Although what's interesting is they made sure to pay attention to canon because that's the double-bladed lightsaber that he has in Clone Wars and Rebels. And not in the original movie.
Yeah. Good catch. But you know what I mean? Just sort of like, you got it? Like, this is my thing that it's me. I'm going to do it during my phone call.
Right. Now, what's interesting is that sequence that we saw with Maul originally was shot with Peter Serafinowicz doing the voice. Or not shot. It was like he had originally recorded the voice. He did the voice in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But it was replaced by Sam Witwer, who does the voice in all the animated shows.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
I guess they just figured they want to be consistent with the animation instead of like, that's an interesting choice is my point, right? Like I feel bad for Serafinowicz because I know he was kind of upset about that. You know?
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah, if that's what in the animation currently, what most people were hearing, they were like, well, this is what people what they'll connect with.
So here,
Han shot first. Yeah, exactly.
I think this was the moment when Lucas stormed off the set. Was right there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. You asshole. And then he just left.
But you know what I love about it is that Han shoots first, but it's like a real, have your cake and eat it too moment. Cause Beckett's just like, I'm glad you did that, kid. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah. I'm proud of you, son.
So it's like, it's okay. Right, guys? He's looking at the audience. I'm okay with this. Han shot first.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't mention, I like how Chewie has the double bandolier on this action figure, or I mean in this movie.
Wait, what about it?
He's got like the double strap, so that you can distinguish which toy you're buying.
Oh, that's hilarious! Like Malibu Stacy in her new hat.
Exactly. This is double bandolier Chewie.
That is hilarious. By the way, what I think they do a good job of, though, is, Beckett does have his finger on the trigger. He's going to shoot, so Han does have to shoot.
It doesn't mean anything if he doesn't say McClunky right before the shot.
Yeah. This is great. This is like this is Han becoming Han.
That's right.
Having to kill his mentor and seeing the love of his life leave him. And that heartbreak on his face as he watches her go. And then Chewie,
his best friend for life.
Yep, putting his paw on his shoulder, and
I love Han and Chewie.
Yeah,
the two of them together. What a pair.
Yeah. And obviously from the movies that we grew up watching, and that's why we feel that way. It's great, but I feel like that moment is a real potent connection for them. Like I feel the same feelings from the other movies in that moment. Like Chewie's gonna always be there for Han, and I don't know. Han realizing that Chewie's going to be there for him. Maybe the only person who's going to be there for him.
Well, to me, I mean, there's always something extra heartbreaking about Chewie's scream when Han gets stabbed in the chest, right?
Yeah.
Because here's his friend for all these decades gone,
Yep.
So what I love about this is, in essence, Han is like, he's like early adopter of the rebellion. He's like an early investor.
Yeah.
But nobody knows, like, which makes it extra funny when Leia is like, your reward is all you care about. And he should be like, woman, who do you think paid for all this?
That's right. But again, it's he also wants to have this facade.
Right.
He's like trying to create his own mythology a little bit about even just the way I love that when she invites him and he just gives that silent, nah, kind of head shake that he's not going to join them. But Kira says earlier, I know something about you. Literally no one else knows, which is you're the good guy.
He's a good guy.
You're the good guy. He doesn't maybe even believe it about himself, but he is.
See, if nothing else, I would have liked a sequel so we could explain why Chewie loses that second bandolier.
Right.
I just wanted like 2 hours of that, of Chewie like scratching, like it's like uncomfortable, and he just keeps wrestling with it.
Right.
And finally tears it off, and I was like, so that's why he doesn't have it.
Right.
Now I get it. So Brian, is it just me, or did this movie just fly by?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is like 2 hours, 15 minutes, but I haven't thought about the time once.
I'm like, holy shit, we're already here. He's about to win the Falcon again. I love, by the way, that when he said fair and square, the implication that we now realize is that Lando is a goddamn cheat.
Right. Yeah. We see it in the middle of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got cards up his sleeve, but Han's wise to it now, plucked it out of his sleeve, and he does win the Falcon fair and square. By the way, is this the first time Peter Mayhew has not played Chewbacca for a full film?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last time he played Chewie was Force Awakens.
Okay.
And that was only for a portion of it.
Right. And this is a Finnish actor. I'm gonna say his name incorrectly, and I apologize. But Eunice,
It's Jonas Suotomo.
Okay, yeah, he was a professional basketball player. He's 6'11".
Yeah,
and I guess he was.
So he shared it with Peter Mayhew in the first one in Force Awakens, and then he took over after that.
Okay, yeah, he does a good job. I mean, you don't think about it, but the physicality really does convey a personality, and I feel like he does feel like Chewbacca.
I agree. Yeah. It's tricky, you know. I mean, I said before that it wasn't until I watched Rogue One that I realized there were certain parts of that performance that were unique to David Prowse.
Yes,
vis-a-vis Darth Vader. You know, so it's not as simple as just a tall guy putting on a suit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go off to Star Wars Solo 2. Oh wait. Never mind. Oh,
aw, man, make the limited series. Come on,
do something. I mean, I know they were talking about doing a Lando something or other.
Yeah, I feel like that's even written.
I mean, I hope some of these projects do end up materializing. I think it's a very big galaxy far, far away that I would love to spend more time in. I think as we record this, of course, we're on the eve of Mandalorian and Grogu coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that movie performs, then hopefully we see more, you know?
Yep.
If it doesn't perform, then, well, we'll be coming back on mic and very sheepishly explaining why we... well, never mind.
Yeah.
But you know, this was fun. I have to say that brief window shortly after Disney made the purchase, and it was like, oh, and we've got all these stories we want to tell. I mean, that was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then to some extent, the fact that this movie, I mean, you must have the access to the numbers, right? I mean, what did this cost versus what did it take in?
Well, estimated budget was $275 million.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? In the U.S., it grossed $213 million. So it didn't even make its budget back in the U.S. Yeah. And for a Star Wars film in that moment, I mean, The Force Awakens, I think is the highest grossing domestic movie of all time.
Yeah.
At almost $1 billion. So for this to only make $213 million in the U.S., not great.
Just 3 years later.
Yep. And worldwide gross is $392 million.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a catastrophe. There's no way to spin that.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do we chalk that up to?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, you and I will show up for all of it.
Right.
So
I was thinking about how this came out a few weeks after Avengers Infinity War, which was sucking up a lot of the oxygen. And then you had Deadpool 2 just before this, or just after, I can't remember. But, you know, I think most folks don't go to movies every week.
Yeah.
And you have to figure that an Avengers movie is not, that's a family thing. That's like the whole clan goes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's say you're spending $100+ to take your family to Avengers Infinity War. Do you want to do that again 3 weeks later for a Star Wars movie?
That, and also pretty much up until this point, not counting Rogue One, Star Wars was always like, well, we got to see what happens next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this wasn't something that was coming off of something or leading into anything next. It just felt like this random thing floating around. So maybe there wasn't an urgency for it. And on top of it, it didn't have any of the faces you associate with Star Wars.
Right. So that bet that this character you love will be enough to get people in the door. That was a mistake. We also have to reckon with the fact that The Last Jedi had certainly a polarizing response, being generous.
Mm-hmm.
And
I forgot. And this came months after.
That's what I'm saying. This is the shortest gap ever between Star Wars movies. It was like 6 months.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Right. Or five months. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think, all those factors. I think it was like, well, we just saw Star Wars. We didn't like the last one that much anyway, I honestly, I think Disney got greedy just with the whole assembly line nature where we're just going to be cranking these suckers out and dropping them every year. I think they overestimated the willingness of average folks to keep showing up, you know?
Yeah. Spacing it out would have helped. A little more patience.
I think so. I mean, this is like the eternal question. Well, if they had released it in December of 2018 instead of May, would it have done better? I don't know, but I would place money on that. Yes.
When, in case you were wondering, because I was, Rogue One made $1 billion at the worldwide box office,
Right.
and 532 million North American. And that's coming a year after Force Awakens. So
Right.
everybody likes Force Awakens. We're high on Star Wars. Waited a year.
Yeah.
And we get another one and you make $1 billion. But at this point, we had received more. Like you said, Last Jedi was a little polarizing. This came out just months after. It doesn't have any recognizable faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's at this point, it's all academic, but I think it's very possible. It was like 4 different factors all working in conjunction to make people not want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was even like, oh, like that looks like crap, I don't want to see it. I think it was like, I'll watch it when I watch it, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And, this gets, look, Marvel was enjoying a very good run at around the time this movie did not do well. But even Marvel obviously has had its lull, right? And I think it just, look, everything that goes up is going to come down. Right? And scarcity is not the worst idea in the world when it comes to these things, Like, I think these companies need to realize that.
Yeah.
If it's something you start taking for granted, I mean, we talked about this before, right? There's been more Star Wars content from 2015 to now than our entire lives up to that time.
Wow.
Right? Like, there's 5 movies plus just hours and hours and hours of shows, which I know you have not seen the majority of.
Not a lot of it. Well, no.
Right?
Up to a point, and then I kind of dropped off, but I was watching everything for a while.
Sure, right? But that's my point. It's not like you're like, oh, F this is too much. You're just like, it's just a lot. I'm losing track, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And your fandom of Star Wars is not diminished, but it is like I don't have time to watch everything, and that's where a lot of people are, and I think that sucks. I don't like. I miss the days of it being a big effing deal when there's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
that was the case for us. During the context of the special editions, that was the case certainly when the prequels came out. Like or dislike the movies, and there was. This is something else, right? There's this retroactive thing now. Oh, the people didn't hate the prequels when they came out. That's just made up. Like, and now people are saying that, and I'm
wild.
like, that's bullshit. Like that,
right.
That is factually untrue because I lived it.
Yeah.
And not only did I live it, Ahmed Best lived it, and Jake Lloyd lived it,
yeah,
and freaking George Lucas lived it.
Great point.
Right? So that's this new thing, like because now we have the sequel haters, and so we're gonna go through this whole cycle, and then we'll see. Let's touch base in 10 years and see where that is. I don't even care at this point, but it just goes on and on, right?
Yeah.
But all of this is to say, like, scarcity is good because you want to savor the buildup. And you and I over the last 6 months, we've had many a conversation about how excited or not we're feeling about The Mandalorian and Grogu. And I'm not going to speak for you here, but I'll speak for me. I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I'm ready for this.
Me too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It took a while, but
yeah. And it's, it wasn't one of those things where I was counting down the days.
No.
Since like a year ago or anything like that. But now that it's approaching and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
I can go see a new Star Wars story in the theater.
Right.
Like, yeah, let's go. So
That's right.
yeah.
So anyway, hey, let us know your thoughts about Solo, A Star Wars Story, and hell, any of the other Star Wars stuff we talked about. I mean, Lord knows, you and I, we don't need much of a nudge to start talking about Star Wars.
Oh no, I want to hear it all. I want to hear everyone's opinions.
So let us know. You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. As always, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. And if you are listening to this show on YouTube, please hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment because we do read all of those comments. Hey, we also have a Patreon page, Brian.
That's right. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe for only $5 a month, you'll find every commentary we've ever done and every episode moving forward absolutely ad-free. In addition to that, we also drop bonus conversations about twice a month, topics and things we like to riff on and trailer talk and all that sort of thing that just doesn't quite fit into the show anymore. We drop all that fun about twice a month over on the Patreon feed. Our free feed will always be available, but this is our way of providing what we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. No ads or interruptions butting in, like we said at the beginning. Very annoying, especially during our commentary. Plus, your subscription goes a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain producing the show. So if you're interested and able, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful.
And with that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been our movie film commentary track for Solo, A Star Wars Story. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.